Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm the GQ Jedi. If you're not already subscribed to me, blast the subscribe button down below so you don't miss any valuable Star Wars content. I've done it, guys. I've actually done it. I sat down with my inner child and figured out who are my top 10 figures. Went through the Kenner line. There's a lot of awesome figures in this collection. I know we all have our favorites. I've talked about many of these figures throughout this channel. Some of the figures I wish we'd gotten, some of the figures I wish Kenner had made a little better version of, but I've never actually talked about my favorites. And today I've got a top 10 list for you guys. We've done it. Wasn't easy, but we did it. So without further ado, here's my top 10 favorite Kenner action figures. All right, guys, I'm going to start off at the top. Descending order, I would say the Sand Person is probably my, the top of the list in terms of going from least favorite to the most favorite. I'd say that Sand Person ranks number 10 on my top 10 list. I love the vinyl cape. Something about the likeness of the figure. It's got a lot of charm to it. Especially, I'm a sucker for vinyl. I love the aesthetic of it. It's old school Star Wars. And something about the face, the paint apps, the head specifically, just the detailing in the tubes. I just love this figure. I always feel like I can't get enough of them in my collection, and every time I get another one, it's just, I love holding it. It's absolutely one of my favorite figures, no doubt. And I know these figures get a lot of flack, but for me personally, I gotta say that my next favorite figure in the number 9 slot would be my boy Wicket. He is a cute little sucker. I do love the stature of this figure, something about the removable hood, and the fact that I grew up with Return of the Jedi as being the movie that I most, that I'm closest to as far as my childhood. Wicket was always one of those standout figures for me. A cool character, of course, interacting with Princess Leia in the very beginning of the Endor sequence. Something about this little guy has always brought a smile to my face. I feel like he has a lot of charm. I do like the Ewoks in general. Like I said, a lot of people do not, but I always hold a special place for Wicket in my heart and in my collection. And I do have several of him in my Kenner collection. So, yub nub, let's hear it for Wicket. Rounding out the 8th spot in my top 10, it's none other than the Dark Lord himself, Darth Vader. Again, the vinyl cape, guys. I love the vinyl capes on these old school First 21 figures. He is Star Wars. Darth Vader is Star Wars. A true classic Kenner action figure. Of course, the telescoping lightsaber is a great little feature on him. He is the only Vader we got in the Kenner collection, which makes him ultra special. You put Vader out on the table, bring him out at playtime, and everyone knows it's Star Wars. Everyone knows he means business. And like I said, it's Darth Vader. How can you not like him? There's a lot of charm to this old school 70s Kenner action figure. And just every time I have one in my hand, I just have that special feeling. And I have several of these in my collection. Feel like I can't pass up a good Vader. And just something about Kenner put some detail into him. Didn't go overboard, but I don't know. He just screams vintage to me. He screams Star Wars. So that's why Vader has earned the 8th spot in my top 10. Now this is another figure that's gotten a lot of hate over the years. I'd say maybe not hate. Hate's a strong word, but a lot of people give him a lot of made jokes and just talked bad about him because of his face. Don't like the way he was formed from the factory, but that's Stormtrooper Luke. Personally, I don't mind his face. I something charming about this guy. I love the fact that he comes with a removable helmet. That's a big selling point for me. I've always loved that. I like the fact that he kind of pulls double duty in the Kenner line as being a Power of the Force figure, which makes him kind of more special in that regard. And also he's really, kind of like a first 21 action figure. He belongs in the original Star Wars line, but Kenner brought him out in the Power of the Force line. And it's, well, let's face it, guys, it's Luke Skywalker. How can he not be a favorite? I don't, like I said, I don't mind his face sculpt. It's kind of a fat faced Luke. Doesn't really look like Mark Hamill so much, but he's a stormtrooper. He's a Luke in stormtrooper disguise. I mean, what's not to love? I simply I do dig this figure a lot. I really do, and that's why Luke has earned the 7th spot in my top 10. And he's not too short for a stormtrooper. You hear me, Luke? You're just right. And if you guys have been following me for a while, you notice that I have several of these in my collection. Not really a focus figure collector, but for whatever reason, the Biker Scout. I have a lot of these in my collection in my Return of the Jedi setups. I absolutely dig this figure a lot. I love the sculpt, the design. I think he's badass. Kind of reminds me of the Imperial shuttles and just the the lines, something about the design, the helmet. Just such a cool figure, and he looks dead on likeness to what we saw in the movie. Always had an affinity for this figure, and it's one of those figures that when I get my, in my possession, when I get a new collection in, I buy some collection, I do some wheeling and dealing, however I get a Biker Scout in my hands, I seem to never let go of him. I never can just pass him off to another collector. I always end up managing to keep him. I've amassed quite a few in my collection, and I dig him. I dig him a lot. It's also that nifty little blaster pistol he's sporting. Just a cool action figure, by far my favorite of the Stormtrooper iterations. And I've done a video on all the Stormtroopers, and so you guys should check that out. But I just love the Biker Scout, guys. I can't sing his praises enough. Just one of the coolest figures in the collection for me, and that's why he has earned the 6th spot in my top 10. Next up in my lineup, hitting in the number 5 spot, is Boushh. That's right, Princess Leia in Boushh disguise. Another removable helmet action figure that for me really sets the cool factor through the ceiling. I absolutely dig the fact that Leia can take her helmet off, kind of pulls double duty. The design of the figure itself, the aesthetic, looks exactly like what we saw in the movie Return of the Jedi, so I really appreciate that. She comes with this awesome weapon, just kind of gets points for that. The colors, the helmet especially, just beautiful. Just an awesome figure. It's got that 80s charm to it. And I'm gonna be honest, man, it's Princess Leia, and she just looks like a badass here. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Would have been, if I had my way, I would have seen more of her in this bounty hunter outfit, more than what we got her, more than what we saw on screen. But in my opinion, Kenner did a bang up job on this action figure. She's awesome. She looks great no matter where she's displayed, and that's why Leia in Boushh disguise has earned the 5 spot in my top 10 list. This figure is super important in the Kenner lineup for me in Star Wars in general. I feel like he is Star Wars, and that is Master Yoda. I love this action figure. I've got several in my collection. I mean, it's Master Yoda. How do you not like him? I like the diminutive stature of this figure. He's tiny. He does come with a couple accessories, so he gets bad points for that. He's got a snake. He's got a belt. He's got a cane. He's got a removable cloak, robe. Soft goods again. I love the soft goods on these action figures. He's Master Yoda. How do you not like Master Yoda? Just truly a cool action figure. I think the likeness on him is pretty good. I I feel like he does look like what we saw in the movie. He's got that Kenner quality to him. Very simple. Again, not going overboard with the design, but there's enough details in there that it's Master Yoda. Like, there's no question. He's the only one in the collection that looks like this. I mean, period. It's Master Yoda. I mean, I don't think I need to say too much more than that. He's just a longtime favorite of mine, and that is why Master Yoda has earned the number 4 spot in my top 10 list. I think everyone has figures that kind of stand out to them, specifically bringing some nostalgic feels, reminding them of being a little kid. And for that, General Lando, he's earned the number 3 spot in my top 10 list. This is a figure that I distinctly remember from childhood. Just an awesome figure, a beautiful action figure. I've talked about him many times in several videos. Something about this dang cape, guys. He just looks like an absolute boss in that cape. I do love the soft goods. Again, I love soft goods. I love soft goods. I mean, I'm a sucker for the soft goods that Kenner employed on some of these later action figures. Some about the cape. I just remember getting this figure as a kid from Toys R Us and just having him in my hand at playtime. And I logged a lot of hours in with Lando here, and so for me, he's very special. Love the detail. He's a beautiful action figure, guys. Power of the Force, beautiful action figure. And I mean, I love Lando. I just absolutely do. More than the Bespin version of him, more than the removable helmet version, which I do love the removable helmet version, absolutely love the removable helmet version. But for me personally, General Lando as the pilot here with that swashbuckling cape sinks a hole in one for me. That's why Lando's earned the number 3 spot in my top 10 list. Now, this next action figure needs no introduction. Everyone in the Star Wars community knows who this fella is. He is the classic example of coolness. He is the baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy, and that is none other than Boba Fett. Absolutely gorgeous action figure. Came out in the first 21. Of course, there's several versions of Fett. I happen to have a Taiwan here Fett out in front. This is my preferred version between the Hong Kong one and Taiwan. Of course, there are many variations of Boba Fett, paint apps and whatnot, but I'm partial to the Taiwan Fett here. Just a gorgeous figure, a great likeness to what we saw in the movies. The colors, did I say he's beautiful? I'm pretty sure I said that already. Yeah, I think I said that. I think I have a man crush on Boba Fett here. He just looks so damn cool on any shelf and any display. Happen to have several in my collection in different display setups, whether it be on the Star Destroyer or the Slave One. Just love Boba Fett. He looks awesome. Just a real standout figure. Again, looks a lot like what we saw in the movies, which he gets a lot of points for that. And he's Boba Fett, guys. I mean, Jesus Christ, do I have to say anything else? He's Boba freaking Fett. This guy demands some respect, and that is why he has earned the number 2 spot in my top 10 list. Sure, you guys are wondering who is my favorite figure out of the top 10. Who reigns king at the very top of the list? Who could it be? That is none other than Farm Boy Luke. That's right, Farm Boy Luke earns the top spot in my top 10 list. This is original first 12 action figure, quintessential Star Wars. Luke is the main character of Star Wars. It's undeniable. Something about the simplicity of this Kenner action figure, just the white tunic, the tan pants, and the telescoping lightsaber. I just love this figure. I mean, it's just one of those figures where it's like if you got Star Wars Kenner in your hands, you're having a great day. And if you've got a Luke Skywalker in your hands, anything is possible at playtime. And so for me, it's always been about Luke. He's my favorite character in the saga, maybe next to Anakin Skywalker. And it's Luke Skywalker, guys. I mean, he's just a gorgeous figure, especially when you got a nice clean one like these two examples. I'm very proud to have these two in my collection. I got a Taiwan Luke and a Hong Kong version. One day I'll get a telescope or a double telescoping. These are single telescoping lightsabers, but they're minty, and so I'm pretty jazzed to have them. I've got several in my display setups, in my scenes. But it's Luke Skywalker. He's earned my respect. He is the hero of the saga. So for me, you know, there's that simplicity, there's that charm. Kenner, you know, the funny thing is he doesn't look so much like Mark Hamill, and for whatever reason it's forgivable, but he's got that innocent farm boy look to him, and that's what evokes, you know, the nostalgia of watching the movies, of seeing our farm boy hero become a hero. And like I said, he is Star Wars. Luke Skywalker is Star Wars. So it's really easy for me to say that this is my favorite figure in the entire line, because let's face it, it all starts and ends with Luke Skywalker. And there you have it, guys. There is my top 10 list. Wasn't easy to make this list. I do have some figures that I love, like Bib Fortuna. You know, I love EV-99. The Snow Trooper, of course, is a badass figure. How could we forget R2? I mean, there's a lot of cool figures in here. I mean, it's Kenner, guys. It's absolutely Kenner. So they're all cool, but that's my list. Thought you guys would like to know what my thoughts are on the Kenner lineup. Love to hear your thoughts on my list. Did you agree? I'm sure you guys all have your list, but this is mine. And I figured I would jump into the line and take out 10 figures that I think were exemplary, figures that I will tip my hat to. Gotta love Kenner. There you have it, guys, my top 10 figures. It wasn't easy. Like I said, I had to sit down with my inner child and figure out who I loved the most. Good Lord, it wasn't easy, but I did it. If I could only choose 10, if I was going to go off on an island for the rest of my life and I could only take 10 action figures from the Kenner line, these are the 10 I've chosen. Love to hear your thoughts. You guys agree with my list? I know everyone has a list. That's the beauty of this, but this is my top 10. I appreciate you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give the old like button a thumbs up to support the channel. And if you've not already done so, blast that subscribe button and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss any valuable Star Wars content. And remember, collect or collect not, there is no try.